Hello everyone, this is Parzival630 here. Welcome you back to Shiny Gold X. And last part, we started our adventure and picked our first Pokemon. This is me just kind of testing things out here and just making sure everything's in order. I'm not going to cut anything out. We caught 3 Pokemon in the last part. We got Lloyd, Tamari, and Krako. If I sound a little worn out, I basically blew my voice out in the last recording that I did today. But yeah, we were also given the amulet coin that we were going to be using, and we're going to quite possibly make use of that today. The weird thing about this recording is that this is the second post-recording that I've had to do today. Oh, well, not today, but like for like this recording series, because something really weird went wrong with my microphone, which I'm pretty certain I got to figure it out, at least for the first couple of videos that I'm going to be doing for the next however long that this takes. I do believe I fix it by like episode 4 or 5 or something like that. Yeah, we're going to be heading into Violet City here, and we're going to be taking on the Sprout Tower here. I do believe I do kind of like take a little mini tour around the area. There really isn't anything to look for. If you do check these boxes, though, there are items in some of them, which is kind of neat, but they're not spread out through like the entire world like I initially thought. I know in the recording that I did for this I mentioned something like that, but to kind of put this into perspective, this recording was done back in February of this year, and it is now April 23rd, 2024, so this is a little backdated here, I know. So I kind of made a little bit more headway in this game than what's than what I originally said in the recording for this, which I don't know why I'm talking about it, because it's irrelevant, because you're not going to hear that recording at all because it doesn't exist anymore. I guess I could also talk about that there are some things that I do say in like later videos that are kind of like things that I'm not aware of. I'm pointing out that I'm becoming more and more aware of the things that are in this game. I do know that this is a backdated version of this this game, and there's been updates on it in the past couple of years. I am a part of that community, so I have gotten that game. I'm not going to start it. This was started before like the last update was made for it. I'm going to keep going with the version that I have already, just because it's easier for me to just keep consistent instead of having to catch the same Pokemon over and over again. Right there you saw me buying a couple of things. One thing that I want to point out that I did buy that was important were antidotes. I buy a lot of antidotes in this game. Poison is my least favorite stat in the game. I mentioned this 1,000 times. I'm just not under the weather, just kind of voice is just a little bit tired from earlier this afternoon when I was recording. It kind of blew my voice out just a little bit, so if you hear a little bit of scratching, a little bit of clearing of my throat, that's the reason why. I am making sure that I am drinking water, so the throat passage should be clearing up rather nicely. There's a lot of Pokemon that I run into in this area. Do an awful lot of training in here afterward as well. I do believe that I make it through, for the most part, the Sprout Tower, and I do believe I get the HM for this. I do a lot of training in this episode. Well, not in this episode, but between this episode and the next one, because the gym leaders in this game are no joke at all. But there goes one of my favorite Pokemon right there. He's going to become quite important to the video today, because, well, we're in the Sprout Tower. It's kind of important that, we have Bellsprout in the Sprout Tower. It's kind of the whole point of having the Sprout Tower. So many times can I say Sprout Tower and Sprout in the same sentence, because it's really not a relevant topic to talk about right now. It's one of the most ridiculous things ever. You think that the kind of person that wants to make a podcast by himself would really have a little bit more to talk about when it comes to Pokemon, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about Lloyd, our routes here a little bit. He's kind of special in the sense that he's a male route, which gives me the options to evolve him 2 different ways. He has a branched evolution when he reaches the level, when he evolves into Kirlia. I've not decided at the point where I am at in the game whether or not I want a Gardevoir or a Gallade yet. I guess it just depends on if I'm able to find the shiny stone that I need to evolve him into Gallade. I really wouldn't mind it, because they really do pay extra attention to the fact that physical, special, psychic moves are in this game and are programmed properly in this game, so wouldn't be that bad of an idea to have that sort of Pokemon in the party. I am planning on using whatever version of Lloyd we end up with at the end of the game, kind of carrying him all the way through until we get to other regions. I might switch up the party here and there with some other Pokemon, but for the most part, I've pretty much settled on what kind of team I want to build for this game. And I really wasn't planning on it, but keeping the starter in this game is probably one of my biggest concerns that I was having in the beginning, because I wasn't really certain whether or not I was going to keep my starter at all. Krako is a very good Pokemon, and he becomes a really good asset later in late game, mainly because he is a very physical water type, and comes with a moveset that pulls through for that. That's all I'm going to say for now about it, though. Yeah, we're just climbing up the Sprout Tower here, and we're gaining levels kind of quick. And this is the part of the game where I think we gain levels the fastest, and it becomes really relevant on how quickly we do. Later in the game, with how full the party can get, levels can be spread out throughout, and I end up having, you might want to end up taking a break and just grinding for a couple, an hour, 2 hours, something like that, just even out your levels a little bit. It's yeah, it becomes a little bit of a grind later on, but it's part of the game too, though. And we just beat Sage Nico, so that's one of them down. We get an X defend here. That'll boost the Pokemon's defense in a pinch in the middle of battle. You do waste a turn using it low, much like how you would waste a turn using a potion. A lot of Pokemon we encounter in this episode here. It's one of the few episodes in the beginning where we're without repels, which running is fine. I don't have a problem with talking over this in the moment here, but when I'm recording it gets a little tedious because I'm playing in the moment and I get a little impatient with it, so I just decide to cut things out, which I think it works out when it's in the moment recording and commentating and the like. Just a lot of Bellsprouts. There's really not much to talk about Bellsprout. I mean, he's my favorite, but when you're fighting 10 to 12 of these guys and in the span of almost 10 minutes, it gets to be a little tedious. And they're really not that strong at this point in the game. I think the most that they know is Vine Whip and maybe Wrap. I think not even Wrap, if I'm being honest. I'm pretty certain that the only 2 moves that they know are Vine Whip and Growth, actually. His Growth is the second move that he learns after leveling up. There we go, we finally switch up here. I was wondering when I was going to do that. I was kind of getting a little concerned. And I was thinking of Heart Gold and Soul Silver here. I thought there was an item over there, but we run into a Duskull of all things. Now, I have a last minute thought here where I just kind of decided in the moment that I would really think it would be kind of cool to have one of these guys in our party. It's a little bit of a grind to have, but the payout is enormous once you finally get it to its final stages. And Dusknoir is available in Shiny Gold X, and it's not through trading at all, which is a godsend because he is a very good asset to the team. He's very tanky. He's got some good moves to complement that. He's got good stalling moves that really complement a team that is looking to be rather diverse. A couple of my very favorite YouTubers have used Dusknoir on their teams in the past. I really like this Grim Reaper Pokemon. I've never used one on my team before, so my immediate thought was that I need to catch this thing and try my best to make him work into the team no matter what. I did miss out on teaching him a move that I should have taught him, but I won't. Once I am able to teach him that move, I'm going to teach it to him, but it's not going to be for a little bit. I have the move where I'm at in the game right now. I have the move that I want to teach him. I just currently cannot do it because he is not at the stage where I can. I think one of the things that I will say in addition to this, because we give him a very appropriate name here, he is one of the big, what am I trying to say? One of the big reasons why I actually like Duskull and his evolutionary line is because he was used in the Gen 3 Pokemon League, specifically during the Elite Four battles. I do believe, I'm trying to remember the name of the trainer who uses it, but Dusclops is a beast in that. He's a tank and he is a menace to deal with when you are not prepared to take him on. And I remember having a complete nightmare of a time trying to beat the Pokemon League in that game because I was unaware of what type or types it was. And it's ever since then he's been a really good Pokemon to keep in the back of my head. And I've always wanted to use one, and I've literally been raving long enough about this, but just can't emphasize hard enough. And the fact that I give him the name that I give him, and there goes my controller, that is just appropriate for who I kind of am modeling this Duskull after. Which, yeah, I mean, I've used Ghastly in his line forever now, and I really don't hold no fault to anyone who likes Gengar. Gengar's a great Pokemon. I just have gotten to the point where I really want to use something else and something unique. And I think the Shuppet line is just not put up to snuff, especially because the Megastone mechanic in this game is just a little too complicated than what I like in this game. I don't really know how to pinpoint what my point is on it, but I don't like how it works in this game. It's just, it doesn't make sense to keep it in here. Then again, there are other things that are put in this game that I like, so I see why Mega Evolution is in this game as well. So I don't hold it for a fault that it's actually in the game, because it's okay that it's there. I'm complicating things, I know, but that's just kind of how I feel about the matter, you know? So we're actually trying to make our way back to the Pokemon Center here, which we eventually do. This video could have been narrowed down to, almost 15, almost 20 minutes if I would have just shut up and cut the video there, but whatever. We're about halfway through here. I'm rearranging my party here a little bit. I really want to get Ichigo some screen time here. I think I do check out his move set that he has. He's a timid nature, which, fine. Attack is going to need some work, but he's got speed higher than most Duskulls, which is hilarious to me. And average stats everywhere else, which I'm not going to fault. He does have really bad HP, which I do believe I work at as well. It's just getting those effort values up for it. It's probably the worst part of it. The thing that sucks about Tamari is that, her HP is just so great. It's like one of the best stats that she has, but she's just so hard to train and hard to use, very early on. And I mean, I don't want to ruin like what team I have right now, but I end up boxing Tamari because she's just a pain in the ass. And people keep telling me, well, she's worth it because, Shedinja is a really good Pokemon to use, and, even outside of, like, the meta, which, fine and great, because I can switch her in and out of different situations and whatever, but, I mean, even Ninjask is really good to use. I just really don't want to, like, deal with, like, the early game stuff, and, like, how long it takes to train her. It's really great that you get her really early, but, yeah. I end up boxing her. I just love how, like, there are times in this playthrough where I simply just forget, and I really shouldn't, because I've been playing Pokemon my entire life. I should know that normal doesn't touch normal, but it just keeps happening over and over again. It's usually to my defense, which I don't really try to defend myself very much when it comes to my excuses with this game, because I really shouldn't have any. But it's mostly due to Nightshade and its ambiguity of how it gets used throughout games. Sometimes it does work against normal types, sometimes it doesn't. I just get confused with it. And I often forget about things like Karate Chop being a fighting type move from time to time as well. That's because it was normal in Gen 1. You would think that after all these years that I would just remember its fighting type, but every once in a while I forget to use it on a Pokemon, because there's a split moment in my brain where I think that it's just normal still. Because in those days, especially with Gen 1, having a fighting type move that had a high critical hit ratio was just broken. But it was also broken to use Focus Energy because it really made your critical hit ratio worse. I did have someone recently ask me to explain, like, what it means about, like, with critical hit ratio and how it works in the Pokemon games. The really weird thing about Gen 1 is, and I'm explaining in this video and I really shouldn't be, but the really weird thing about Gen 1 was that critical hit and its ratio was determined by your speed stat. And it's not the case anymore, and especially from Gen 2 onward, it's always just been a ratio from 0 to 2. And sometimes your critical hit ratio, depending on the Pokemon, would be set to 1 already, or would be set to something like 1.5. And moves like Focus Energy moved that ratio to 2, which just essentially doubles your likelihood of getting a critical hit. But in Generation 1, Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, when a Pokemon would use Focus Energy, it would set that ratio to 0, meaning that you had 0 chance of ever getting a critical hit after you used it. Even if you used a move like Slash or Karate Chop, it would have a 0 likelihood of ever connecting with a critical hit. And that is why moves like Slash in Gen 1 was so crazily overpowered, especially when given to Pokemon like Dugtrio or Sandslash, because their speed stats were so high. That's the gist of how I understand it anyway. I'm sure that there's some crazy smart person who's smarter than I am who can explain it a lot better than me. But I mean, I literally that's my understanding of it, is that it's on a scale of 0 to 2, and that critical hit ratio is supposed to jump to 2 when focus energy is used, and in red and blue it's not the case. I'm going to listen back to this one and be like, what the hell was I talking about, and why was I talking about it so long? Okay, so we're healing here because we're just getting ready for the quote-unquote boss battle that we have at the end here. I mean, it is technically boss time, but I'm not going to shout it at the top of my lungs like I normally do, because that's what a crazy person would do. So the Alder here is just kind of getting ticked off at our rival here, because he's supposed to be, as kind as he is skilled in all of these other Yoda interpretations about how things are supposed to be taught in the Pokemon world. I must have been ranting about something, usually hooting and hollering when I don't press the A button. And believe me, when I tell you that it pisses me off as much as pisses the viewers off when I don't follow the text when I'm just talking. I wish I did do that. Ugh. I just had a big soda burp that I swallowed and it went up my nose. Real quick, one of the things that I want to point out here is that there's an escape rope to the right here that I just grabbed. But if you look at the symmetry and the idea of balance in the Sprout Tower, there was actually another escape rope on the other side of the room that Silver takes. So it's kind of fitting that they both go at the end of this, by the end of these fights. I gotta wonder too if this Sage actually replaces those escape ropes for other trainers, so that, probably keeps a balance between them. Oh boy, that one swallowed funny. I didn't really like that. But we're gonna make short work of this guy's livelihood here. Another thing I will point out is that in the original gold and silver versions, this trainer's name was Elder Lee. Get it? Elder Lee. And in the remakes, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, his name was Sage Lee, which they just kept the Lee, and he was actually a sage, which was changed in the English version because we don't understand Japanese culture, blah, 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 blah. But in this game, he is Xiaolong, which I'm pretty certain is another pun that I'm not understanding, but someone can point that out to me as well. But we're going to switch into Croco as Hoothoot comes out. He's always been Hoothoot, and he will always be Hoothoot to me. I don't think I've ever explained that joke, and I really don't have the time to talk about it because I really want to talk about the fact that one of the people that I follow on X, or X, Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it, had a picture of a Hoothoot wearing a Hoothers shirt, or a Hoothooters, which made me laugh harder than it probably should, because I'm 12, or I have the mental capacity of a 12-year-old, something like that, the maturity. I seriously need to grow up. But I was actually surprised in this fight because he actually had a C-Dot that we fought. We made short work of him because Tamari is a bug that uses Leech Life. So he was actually really easy to take out, which can be a bit of a pain in the butt. Mainly because C-Dots use Bide a lot, which I don't like. And I think we are going to use the escape rope to get the heck out of here. And we escape by spinning in circles really super freaking fast. Gonna hit up the Pokemon Center here. I do believe we challenged the gym before we leave here. Not 100% certain. Might end up actually just stopping the video suddenly. I can't remember what happens here, but something happens where I'm not. I do point out the Wigglytuff here. I do make references to the Wigglytuff quite often when I play this game, because the Wigglytuff just stares into your soul every single time you get a chance. I do make some calculations here. I do remember that, where I'm considering if I actually want to take on the gym. I do hit up the market before I do, though, because I use quite a bit of potions in this. In this video, I only replaced 2, though, it looks like. And to be honest, like, I am kind of commentating as I see it, because I'm not remembering a whole lot from here. I didn't pick up a woodmill, did I? I should have picked up a woodmill. I'm mad at myself for that, because I'm trying to make it a habit to buy mail in every town I go to. Well, looks like we buy some Pokeballs too, because why not? I did use quite a few catching Ichigo though, so that makes sense. And the same weather pattern is occurring here, unless I'm mistaken. Pretty certain snow was falling when I went into the market. That's supposed to be entirely random. It's not supposed to be consistent. Oh, that's right. We start the fight with what's-her-face, then we finish it in the next fight, because I get interrupted, and so I have to stop the recording because it becomes like a whole different topic that I'm talking about in the background. So the recording does stop in about 2 minutes into this fight. And there was audio. It was a good thing, because there was audio that existed with this at one point where I was talking in the background and the recording kept going. It didn't take, because, again, there was something with my mic that wasn't working quite right. But I think it's funny that, like, I remember this part mainly because of this is the fight with Zinnia that I absolutely, like, hate every single time that I play through this game. But I do start off using Leer for this stuff, and I think that's kind of a good thing to do, but totally missed on the fact that this thing had Astonish, which, you know, I do disable, and I think disabling this thing's ability to fuck shit up is kind of important, especially if I'm going to be switching into something else. That is not a good move to switch into. Especially something that can cause flinching or do a critical hit on you and turn you into toast. But disabled only lasts a turn. I was going to add something to that, but I forgot. And there goes Tamari, and this is reason number 1 why I hated using her. She almost decimates my entire team here, actually, if I do recall. Because Whismur is a pain in the butt. But in a lot of good ways, because I think they really do fix a lot of problems that Whismur has from Gen 3, which I'll admit, having been a Whismur user from Gen 3, I really gotta compliment them on. She switches into the Bagon. The Bagon comes out, I start fighting it, we get about 5 seconds in, and then I have to cut the recording short. So the recording stops here. I'll see you guys next time when we finish this fight. Take care, everyone.